when we were in Palm Springs last week, Trey Lance was working out with Patrick Mahomes. And Niner fans are really excited about this, and they've talked about the importance. You know, he's working out with Patrick Mahomes, coach, and that's important. But I think there's like a symbolic importance of this, and I think that would be a fun discussion, a couple English majors to have, the symbolic importance. I mean, just the optics of it. Ever since Trey's gotten injured, the Niners have pretty much turned their back on him, at least publicly. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like anyone's in his corner. It's almost like he has like halitosis. Like no one wants to be anywhere near him. Last year in the offseason, Brandon Ayuk and him worked out all the time and posted videos. This year, no one's working out with Trey on the team. He had to go on Instagram and solicit college and high school local wide receivers to work out with him. Seriously. And now, so it looked like there's no one in his corner. Now he's got Patrick Mahomes saying, you can work out with me. Like the Niners made it seem like this guy's a bum. I don't even want to be in the same room with him. Patrick Mahomes saying, you're not a bum, not a waste of my time. Why don't you come and work out with me? Why don't you be in the same video as me? Why don't you work out with my coach? I think that's a big deal for Trey Lance. I think now people are going to look at him differently and say, you know what? Maybe it's just the 49ers opinion of him. Maybe the best quarterback in the world has a different opinion of him. And maybe there's something there.
It's like Mahomes giving him his seal of approval.
It's a big deal.
It's like saying this kid is good and it's worth it. I want to say it says a lot about both men. It shows that, again, I've never met Mahomes. I've never interviewed him. Based on this one instance, he seems like a very generous person. Mm-hmm. What did he have to gain from that?
Nothing.
He seems like a good guy and a very generous person. Mm-hmm. And what it says to me about Trey Lance is has such desire. You know, you could
whatever
kick me in whatever it takes. I'm going to work out with the best and screw you. And if you want to get rid of me, fine. I'm going to be the best quarterback that you can imagine that I can be, and I'm going to be good, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can. And if I were the coach of a player like that, I would be in love with him.
Absolutely.
I would be in love with him.
Right, because I don't think the Niners told Trey, hey, go work out with Patrick Mahomes. Like, they're done with Trey. They've washed their hands of Trey. Like, Trey and his agent figured that out most likely. Or Patrick Mahomes reached out to him and said, hey, do you want to work out with me? Which is great because, again, Kyle Shanahan has such cachet in the league. And if he's written off Trey Lance, a lot of teams could say, hey, man, I mean, am I going to say that Kyle Shanahan doesn't know what he's talking about? He's been looking at him for 2 years in practice. How do I know more about Trey than him? But if Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he has more cachet than Kyle Shanahan. He's Patrick freaking Mahomes. Now a team could say, you know what? Maybe we need to do our own investigation here. Like Patrick.
I think so. And I think one thing we shouldn't overlook is Lance may be learning from Mahomes. There was always an issue. His ball floated a little.
Yes.
You did all the video about how he extended his front leg too soon, all of that. Well, wouldn't you assume that's some of the stuff they're working on? I mean, they're not just drinking Cokes and telling stories.
Right, and it's also like how to be a pro in the offseason. I'm sure Trey Lance works hard, but what to work on, how to work efficiently and effectively. And he's working with the best quarterback in the league and his personal passing coach who's looked at all of Trey Lance's clips and he's seen all the slow motion stuff that you and I have seen and has told Trey, this is what you need to do to succeed. And Trey's buying in and trying to do it. So it seems like this is all very good stuff for him. And the Niners better be real careful if they're going to trade him because I bet you other teams are looking at this video and they're intrigued. Did I lose you, Dad? There you are. Did you hear me?
No, I'm here. You
okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay. The other thing I want to point out is everybody is saying that Greasy, the quarterback coach, is so great because he developed Brock Purdy. Look, I don't know Greasy. I have nothing against him or nothing for him. It seems to me Brock Purdy was pretty developed. And
I agree.
He sure, yeah, and he sure doesn't seem to have developed Trey Lance very much, right? Trey Lance needs to go out of the building to learn to be a quarterback.
True.
Right?
Anyway, it's obviously great from a pragmatic sense, but I think just optics, it's really important for Trey because no one had his back, and I think there was a perception like this guy might really, really suck. And now, I mean, if he really, really sucked, why would Mahomes waste his time? Why would Jeff Christensen waste his freaking time? So what? Sorry, dude, you're Tim Tebow. Go away. Go be a tight end somewhere. Change positions. Like, no, absolutely not. It's not what's happening.
Yeah. I want to say, based on public perception, again, I haven't met this kid. I really like Trey Lance. Now, I really like Brock Purdy, too. Yep. I mean, there are ones you like. I knew Kaepernick. I actually knew him, and I really disliked him. He's very hard to like. But that was from personal experience. But watching how these, and also I want to say, I really like Jimmy Garoppolo. Do you?
Jimmy annoyed me. He was polite, but like when you would get him after a game and he lost, he would always deflect and he would smile and he would say "we" and he would essentially kind of imply that it wasn't his fault. And I like Trey and Brock. They're stand-up guys after losses. They're like, I'm the leader, blame me. I did this. I love that about those two guys. So I have to say I like them better.
Okay, again, I haven't really met Garoppolo. The point you're making is very good, and if I were covering him and he was always making excuses, it would annoy me and also make him go down in my estimation. It would.
And you would try to pin him down. You would follow up. You would say, hold on, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And you would appreciate Trey and Brock being so forthcoming.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad we had that little parenthesis.
Sure. Preston Reynolds says predicting that Brock will get voted a captain. Unfortunately, the final vote of no confidence from a very stubborn locker room.
I don't know about things like that.
We'll see. We'll see.
I don't think he deserves to be voted a captain at this time. He has not served long enough. It's not right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
L Penguin says if they need an all-time quarterback like Rodgers just to win a Super Bowl, what does that say about Kyle? It's true. Kyle's supposed to be an offensive genius, but his solution to his offensive problem last week, he had that malaise halfway through the year where they were averaging 19 points a game. His giant solution was trading for a running back.
Yeah.
Adding a great player. That'll help for sure.
What Iggy and I have maintained for years, and other people are beginning to say it, is that Kyle does not know how to judge or develop quarterbacks. And I think there's a lot of evidence to support that statement.
I don't think his dad did either.
He lucked into Elway.
And Steve. Both of them.
Yes, and Steve.
Yeah. Jesse, I bet if Kyle coached Steve would be great, and Steve would listen to Kyle, and Steve would appreciate Kyle. But that's Steve. How many quarterbacks are like that? You know what I mean? That's Steve.
Right, because Steve is such a gentleman.
Such a gentleman, and he would appreciate Kyle's dedication, and Kyle's negativity wouldn't get to Steve because he's so self-assured and confident, and he could tell Kyle to shove it, and Kyle would probably take. I mean, Steve made it work with Mike. He could probably make it work with Kyle, but there are very few quarterbacks who could, I would think.
I got an interesting Steve story. I'm going to have to leave out some names.
Okay.
There's a school on the peninsula that at least one of Steve's kids went to. And I know someone involved in that school. And they said that a couple of things about Steve. When there'd be a conference with the head of the school and Steve about the child, Steve would come with a notebook and take notes in the office. And you would never know he was Steve Young. He was just a really involved parent.
I believe
and the people there are wild about him because he would always be humble and would actually want to learn and take notes. Then he got on the board of that school, and the people on the board, according to my information, felt that he was a great colleague and asked the best questions.
I believe it. I believe
it.
And
when I heard that stuff, I was so not surprised.
Yeah.
Because that's how he always was every time I ever talked to him.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah. Jesse Wade says, plot twist, Niners grow a pair and trade Brock and keep Trey. I think you would be against this for the same reason you'd be against trading Trey.
Yeah, not going to happen.
You don't know. It's also not going to happen. Terror Dome says, Grant, in the 76-year history of the NBA, only one player has held the scoring title, regular season MVP, defensive player of the year, won the NBA championship, and finals MVP. Respect Air. I really got a lot of people talking with this Michael Jordan thing. This is a football show. But hey, I appreciate you guys setting me straight.
Can I say one thing about Air?
Yeah.
He wasn't a very good baseball player.
No, he wasn't.
He couldn't hit.
Not.
No, in the minors he couldn't hit, which is interesting because you assume a great player can translate his skills to another sport. Right.
No, I mean, I grew up playing baseball. I couldn't imagine trying to pick that up after puberty. I mean, just a swing. You're trying to hit a curveball. No, it's never going to happen, man. It's a whole different skill set. Hand-eye coordination, all that.